How did you meet Carlos Santana? I understand there's kind of a funny story about that.
Oh God, I'm always not afraid or ashamed to tell this because I never know if Carlos minds it.
I asked him about it a couple months ago, and he told me a version of the story. So it's not
It's
something.
about climbing in.
Yeah.
Well, good. We had the Cream and the Butterfield Blues Band in the early days in '67, I think it was, at the original Fillmore, and my office was on the second floor of the building, and there were stores downstairs. And I was in the office in the middle of the evening, and there was a noise that I heard on the outside on the wall by the windows. And I went to the windows, and there were these two gentlemen climbing up the side of the building on the drain pipe.
How old?
Oh, they were in their late teens or early 20s, 19, 20, I guess at the time. And I opened the window, and I don't think I asked them to come in. I think I just dragged them in.
They were trying to sneak into the...
Yeah, and I said, well, you know, of course, the standard question, what the fuck, what are you doing coming in? Which is a silly question, of course. And then so many words said, hey, man, you know, we have no bread, and one guy said, I'm a Butterfield fan, and the Cream is playing, with Eric Clapton, of course, and he had a harmonica in his pocket. He said, I play harmonica and guitar, and we don't have any money. And we got to talking about his music, and Michael, the conga player, was with him. And we had some dialogue, and I said, well, it's a hell of a way to come into the building, but there was something very gentle. He wasn't the kind of guy that you would think that even if he had the money would climb in. Some guys, you see them, I said, well, if they had $1,000 in their pocket, they'd still try to sneak in for the game of sneaking in.
Carlos was not
Carlos was not that, he wasn't then, I don't think he ever will be. Very gentle person.
How did that lead into you managing Santana?
Well, we talked about the music, and one thing led to another during our conversation that I told him that I was then and am now. My real passion in music was never rock and roll per se. The Latin music, even before I came to San Francisco, I was raised in New York City in a predominantly black and Puerto Rican neighborhood in the Bronx. I went to a high school that was predominantly black and then became very much more Puerto Rican, DeWitt Clinton High School. And I worked in the Catskills, and the bands in the 40s and 50s were, I mean, the real society bands were the Latin bands with the mambo and the cha-cha, merengue, guajira, and that type of music. And I grew up with it, and I became enamored with it and enchanted by it, and it has always been always to this day been my music. And I mentioned this to him, and when I realized he was Mexican, he liked Latin music, and he told me he wanted to fuse Latin with rock and jazz. He went to see the concert, and the next day, a couple of days later, he and some of the guys came into the office, and one thing led to another, and here we are.
Do you see any irony in the fact that you have made your name and your fortune as a rock music impresario, when in point of fact that's not your true love, even musically?
If I felt that I could stomp the United States in favor of Latin music, I would do so, because to me, I like jazz and funk and gospel and rock and Yugoslavian and Brazilian. It's really a shame. I have a very strong theory about Latin music and R&B music or black music as to why it isn't much more popular when I think it should be, because African music is the essence of sensuality, is the essence of primitiveness, and maybe not true feeling, but physicalness between two people, and it tied in with emotion and desire and sex. Mass Caucasian America is just not ready to expose how it feels. We're getting there very, very slowly. People now, little by little, will swim in front of each other in the nude. People will perhaps smoke grass in front of each other without saying, oh my God, what will they think of me? How will they look at me? On the dance floor, the majority of our population is still afraid or shy about showing how they feel about their mate. I mean, grabbing them, you can stand in front of them, not touching them, but just moving the way they feel. Well, it is impossible to really get into Latin music or black music or R&B music or African music unless you... I think of it as Jewish wedding music or kishka music, or internal music. I feel bad because very few people dance to Latin music. They dance in their regimented way. One of the reasons I think young people like disco is because you move that part of your body, which is the heart of your sensitivities, which is your pelvic muscles, and Latin music is all pelvic. I just wish it was more popular, and I have to go to New York. I stop at Texaco, and then I go to the Latin clubs. There are certain places in New York that I go to, and I just wish it was more popular. It isn't, but that's one of the reasons why I love Carlos's music.
Yeah.